From the Toronto studios, bringing you a special bulletin on the Palestine-Israel situation on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Israeli soldiers are continuing their ongoing battles with Hamas militants on the streets of southern Israel. In the north of the country, they are exchanging fire with Hezbollah militants launching rockets from Lebanon. Some Israeli communities along with the Lebanon border have been urged to evacuate. Israeli officials have confirmed that at least 600 Israeli civilians and members of the military have lost their lives since the early Saturday morning. That was when Hamas launched an unprecedented incursion on Israel from Gaza, following months of Israeli attacks on Palestinian homes and families. These include forced eviction, which is illegal under international law. It also comes after several illegal entries of the Al-Aqsa Mosque by Israeli settlers under Israeli police protection in the last few weeks. The conflict has escalated significantly, with spiraling violence threatening a major new war between the two parties. Israel has launched airstrikes on Gaza, targeting housing blocks, tunnels, a mosque, and the homes of Hamas officials. This has killed 373 Palestinians, including 20 children. Israel's military is facing questions over its failure to prevent the attack. It has deployed tens of thousands of additional soldiers around Gaza and is starting to evacuate all Israelis living around the frontier of the territory. The conflict has already had international repercussions, potentially undermining US-backed moves towards normalizing relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. The international community, including the US, has denounced the attacks on Israel and called for a halt to hostilities. President Joe Biden expressed unwavering support for Israel's security, but also urged restraint and a return to peace talks. China has also called for an immediate end to the conflict and a resumption of peace negotiations. Yesterday's attack on Israel coincided with the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. Observers say it will go down as the deadliest day of violence for Israel since the Yom Kippur War 50 years ago. This is leading to increased criticism of the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The attacks extend to some 22 locations outside Gaza, some as far as 15 miles from the border. Among the dead are Colonel Jonathan Steinberg, a senior officer who commanded the Israeli military's Nahal Brigade, a major infantry unit. Earlier today, rockets from Gaza struck an Israeli hospital in Ashkelon, causing significant damage, but no injuries were reported. Reports from Tel Aviv described deserted streets, heightened anxieties, and potential implications for the Netanyahu government following security concerns. The severity of the attack has left Israel in shock. Hamas militants used innovative means to cross the border, including motorcycles, paragliders, and speedboats. According to the leader of Hamas's military wing, Mohammed Daif, a series of long-standing grievances, the blockade of Gaza, and the increasing attacks by settlers on Palestinians are behind the attack. Saudi Arabia, which has been moving towards normalizing relations with Israel, is urging both sides to exercise restraint while pointing to the dangers of the ongoing occupation. In a televised address Saturday night, Netanyahu, who had earlier declared that Israel was at war, said the military would use all its forces to destroy Hamas's capabilities. In some towns, the bodies of civilians lay where they had encountered the advancing gunmen. Israeli forces are targeting the Al Nasser neighborhood in Gaza City with intense raids reported. The number of casualties remains unknown. Residents bracing for prolonged conflict have taken measures to protect their families. Local resident Bilal al-Dabbour is emphasizing precautions like securing areas away from windows and ensuring power supply amidst the uncertainty. Statements from Israel urge Gaza residents to evacuate, but analysts question the feasibility given Gaza's restricted movement. Gaza has been described as an open-air prison under Israeli rule by human rights groups and activists around the world. In Cairo, the revered Al-Azhar al-Sharif Mosque has voiced its solidarity with Palestinians, criticizing the international community's one-sided support for Israel. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia and Egypt are engaging in diplomatic efforts to ease the tensions. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister conveyed the nation's opposition to targeting civilians and called for peace. Analysts, however, see the potential for more violence. They are attributing it to the U.S.'s unwavering support of Israel instead of playing the role of a mediator. The United States has provided $500 million in missile defense funding and $3.3 billion in other military funding per year to Israel since 2019. According to the U.S. Congressional Research Services, to date, the United States has provided Israel $158 billion in bilateral assistance and missile defense funding. Currently, almost all of U.S. bilateral aid to Israel is in the form of military assistance. Historically, Gaza has witnessed multiple Israeli attacks. The 2014 conflict resulted in significant casualties and destruction, with over 2,000 Palestinians and 71 Israelis killed. The head of UNICEF, Catherine Russell, expressed grave concerns for the children in the region amidst the rising casualties. After Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promised to turn the besieged Palestinian enclave into a desert island, fears of a massive ground invasion of Gaza are growing. Military analysts are predicting the move. Thousands of Israeli reservists have been called up, and heavy weapons are being mobilized in the region. Gaza has been plunged into darkness by power outages. Israel has bombed residential buildings, including a 14-story high-rise. The Ministry of Health in Gaza earlier reported more than 200 dead and 1,700 injured. Deputy head of Hamas, Saleh al-Rouri, claims Hamas, the group, is holding several Israeli prisoners. These include senior military officers suggesting possible exchanges for Palestinians in Israeli jails. Throughout the Middle East, Hamas is being supported by protests and flag burnings in Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen. In Iran, shouts of death to Israel rang out in parliamentary sessions. In southern Israel, the situation remains tense, and residents continue to shelter in place. In the city of Derot, Israeli forces are working to take back a police station captured by Palestinian militants. Amidst the chaos, hospitals in southern Israel are overwhelmed with treating survivors of recent attacks and helping families search for their missing loved ones. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum.